David Duggan, what's up, man?
Not much. Thanks for having me. This is great, man. I'm excited. I worked like 30 games in a day, and they gave me $20. I kid you not, $20 at the end of the day, and they gave me a pizza, though. That's what sealed the deal. I hated it at first. I just felt lost. I remember literally just like feeling lost to the degree where I was like calling my mom, and I'm like, I want to come home. And she's like, you're not coming home. It's like, you made the decision to go out there. You're going to finish it out. The thing is that in life, it's a funny story. You're always taking little pieces of somebody else's tool book and putting them into your own. Sure. And I learned this from him. And his thing is, you need to diffuse situations, not create them.
So, who holds you accountable?
My wife.
Should we ask her how your communication skills are?
They're horrible. They're horrible. Dude, they're horrible. They're bad. Terrible.
So if we could master the communication in our marriage, I think it goes a long way.
I operate better.
You do like redlining all the time?
I feel like I operate better even if I'm on a vacation in the most beautiful spot in the world. I'll be finding something on my phone or something to work on or tinker with or whatever the case is, or I'll just start something new because I just have a hard time of like sitting idle. And so, yeah.
Wow.
I don't know why.
So what's the end goal here?
The end goal is, I mean, honestly, I want to work in the NCAA tournament.
All right. David Duggan, what's up, man?
Not much. Thanks for having me. This is great, man. I'm excited.
Yeah. Have you ever been on a podcast?
I have not been on a podcast, but I've been on radio before.
Tell me about that.
So back in the day, about 4 years ago, me and an old associate, we had a radio show. It was on 1310 KFKA. It was the Pete and Duggan show, and basically it was all things sports talk. We talked business, we talked sports, we had guests on. I was the crazy guy running the big board behind everything. I didn't know what the heck I was doing, but I mean,
so
I learned.
You didn't have a background in that? It was just
no.
This sounds like a good idea.
I believe anything you do in life, you can self-teach yourself and refine it. If you like it, you'll figure out how to do it. So that's just kind of what we did.
I love that. I love that. That's the philosophy you live by?
Yep. 100%.
So you're taking that philosophy, and then what are you up to these days?
Oh man. I mean, work, refereeing just finished. We're getting ready to go on trips, and the off season, pretty much I referee college men's basketball. I'm involved with high school basketball. Basketball 24/7 is kind of my life, and it kind of takes up my life. And so right now, we just finished, but now we're getting ready to head into camp season, which is a whole nother season within itself. And, then we have all of our companies that we're running. We have, family vacations. And so right now it's honestly, I got about a week to 10 days of downtime. And literally, it's just kind of, flipping it, burning it, and doing it again. So,
is this what you saw yourself doing 10 years ago, or even as a kid?
Man, I grew up in Independence, Iowa, small town, maybe 5,000, 6,000 people, farm, rural based. And honestly, I just fell in love with sports, and that kind of kept me grounded, and just kind of found my way into just kind of, I always wanted to get out of Iowa. I was like, God, it just, well, I was boring. It's boring. First off, you can only see so many cornfields. And so I just remember sitting in my mom's house, and I'm like, man, I got to figure out what I want to do. And so I just honestly, I packed up, head to Colorado, and I was like, always wanted to live in Colorado. Got to Colorado and just kind of figured it out. So
yeah.
Here
Did you
I
have
am.
Any siblings?
I have 2 brothers. They're older, and then my sister's older as well. So I'm the youngest of 3. So yeah.
Wow.
I'm a little doogie.
So you're like, so did they help you in like with sports and everything? Did they play sports and that's how you got involved, or did you play sports as a little guy?
I played sports just kind of on my own. I kind of I got involved with just every sport that I had: baseball, football, tennis, and basketball. And then I kind of just got involved with sports officiating. And it was one of those things where my high school basketball varsity coach said, all right, he came to us after practice one day and he's like, listen, fellas, like if you plan on playing in the game on Tuesday night, you better figure out how to referee on Saturday. And we're like, referee? What the hell is that? We're like, those are the dudes that we don't like the referees.
We don't like that.
I didn't know that. And then he forced us into this little kids tournament. And I got there and I was like, okay, this is cool. They gave me a whistle. Back in the day, we had a little referee uniform with a collar. And it was, I worked like 30 games in a day. Ridiculous. Worked my butt off. But then all of a sudden they gave me $20. I kid you not. $20 at the end of the day, and they gave me a pizza, though. That's what sealed the deal. I got money and food, and I was like, I'm in.
They got you through the stomach, and that was it.
Yeah, that's all that mattered.
You're right.
I was like, I can make a little bit of money and eat. I'm like, shoot, sign me up.
Wow. So when did you get to Colorado?
It's been about 12 years now.
Okay.
Yep. So I've been out here 12 years. I moved out here for basketball. A guy was running a sports organization, Power to Play Sports, and literally just loved basketball and wanted to take a shot at it. And that is what introduced me to the business side of sports, is kind of learning tournaments and stuff. Growing up, I've always been a serial entrepreneur, even when I was a kid. And we ran this basketball tournament in my mom's driveway. All my buddies, all the rural towns around, I was the coordinator, and I ran this tournament called the Duggan Classic. And it was just in the driveway. It was in the driveway. We're cussing each other out. We got brackets on the wall. I'm actually selling concessions on out of my mom's garage. My mom's cooking burgers. We're killing it, dude. We're killing it. It got so big that we had to move it to the city park. It made papers. It made this whole thing. Well, anyway, I loved that. And then I just needed somebody to help me with a little bit of mentorship with business. And I got fortunate enough to, meet somebody and move me out to Colorado with that. And I learned a lot about business and sports, and I just fell in love with it.
Wow. So you had like little March Madness in the driveway.
Dude, it was nuts. It was nuts. I mean, people were cussing each other out. There was fouls. Who would have known I turned out to be a referee? But I mean, we were dunking it, tomahawking it on people, and like we had just random people stopping in their cars, like, what's going on here?
That's sweet.
So it was
Dude,
cool.
That's a story. So that just kind of prepped you for what was to come.
Yeah. Yep.
So what was next?
Basically, I honestly, I graduated high school. I did a little bit of college. I went to the University of Iowa, emergency medicine. But then I realized something. You actually have to like stay disciplined for emergency medicine. You can't just kind of be half in, half out. I learned that was a big thing for me, where I didn't want to commit to that because I really wasn't in love with it. I felt like you had to I felt like the whole thing was, you go through high school, you go through this, and the whole next step was going back to school to try to figure out what you actually wanted to do with your life. Well, I didn't know what I wanted to do. All I knew is that I liked sports. And I knew there was something there. I just didn't know what it was. And so I needed to leave my small network of friends in Iowa, and I needed to become, because I was like a big fish in a small pond, I guess you could say.
Right.
Like everyone knows who you are, and whether it's good, bad, everyone knew your business. And I just had to separate myself from that, and I had to get out and find myself. Well, I got kicked in the teeth and literally, had to drop out. Didn't have any money, all this stuff that we go through with school and this and that. And I had to go figure it out. And I chose Colorado because I always, when I was sitting in school, I'm like, oh, Colorado would be cool. Well, here we are.
Jeez,
beautiful
so
Colorado.
Like, I'm going there.
I was like, I'm young. I'm single at the time. I have no kids at the time. And I just made it work. And I hated it at first. I hated coming out here. I hated it. I didn't know anyone. I had a friend who was helping me mentor in business and all this stuff, but outside of that, I didn't have any friends out here, and I just felt lost. But I think that's natural when you take that type of like, you leave your family, leave your friends, and all this stuff, and you come out here, and you just you're lost until you kind of find your new network.
So you're like what, a year or two into Colorado, and were you ready to go back home?
Oh yeah, dude, I hated it here. I hated it.
So what kept you here?
I remember literally just like feeling lost to the degree where I was like calling my mom, and I'm like, I want to come home. And she's like, you're not coming home. Let's like, you made the decision to go out there. You're going to finish it out.
Wow. Mom's tough.
Yeah, I know. I was like, okay, well, I'm coming home. She's like, no, you're not. Well, anyway, I'm like, I'm going to dedicate it to figure it out and, just kind of strap in. And I went home for a vacation back to Iowa for, a vacation.
So was this a vacation or was this like, oh, I'm just going to stay a couple weeks. It might turn into a couple months.
I was feeling it out. I was telling everyone, hey, I'm going to come see you. But in my mind, I was going to pull a slick move and just kind of like, peace, I'm going back, But then I got back to Iowa and I'm like, you know what? This sucks here. I'm like, I'm moving back to Colorado. I'm like, I think you don't realize what you have until you make a change, and then you come back and you see what your life was, and you're like, God, it was great for a while, but I think that I can figure this out. And so I'm like, I was excited to go on that vacation, but also I was 10 times more excited to come back to my new home in Colorado.
This podcast is sponsored by Estrada Real Estate Group. Whether you're buying, selling, or investing in real estate, we can help you. Text us at 303-832-2120. Now back to the Estradanary Conversation.
So you came back with a refreshed, renewed energy.
Whew, yeah, it was exciting, and I just went to work. Honestly, that's just when I put my head down and I'm like, okay, well, it's time to pull on your big boy pants and you're gonna have to figure it out. I was probably 22, 23 at the time, and just had to figure it out.
Yeah,
and so I submerged myself with work and basketball and running basketball tournaments and coordinating teams and, referees and getting back into refereeing and kind of, really just focusing on, the business side of sports.
So what did that teach you? I mean, what was like the typical day? Would you get up early, work late? I mean, you're putting in like 80 hours a week? Or?
Yeah, I've always been a get up early kind of guy. Like I get up to go to work mentality. I don't get up to sit around. Like I get up early. I mean, even right now I'm up about 4 a.m. just so I can beat the chaos of, I feel like if I get the first crack and the jump on the day, then people are like, I'm ahead of the curve. People are kind of responding back to me, and they're taking care of the things I want to, versus all of a sudden if I wake up at 8 or 9, I feel like I'm batting behind the curve and I never catch up all day because I just can't keep up. So nevertheless, I get up early. I had to, basically, and I would work, throughout the day, and my job was, honestly, it was still cool, and I still learned a lot of discipline of this side of it right here. Is that the guy who was writing the checks, his big thing was personal phone calls and relationships, and he's like, you need to you see this thing right here, it's a phone, right? You're on it all the time, so how about you go make some money with it? And I'm like, I'm gonna make, and I'm like,
that's an interesting concept.
I'm
right?
like, I can make phone calls from wherever I'm at. I never have to go to an office. As long as I have my phone, I can work wherever I want and make money. And I'm like, cool, I'm in. So I bought in, and I would dial hundreds of phone calls a day, calling teams, recruiting them to come to Colorado to play in basketball tournaments, growing leagues and tournaments. So, I mean, it was a blast. And you meet a lot of great people, relationships, meetings. And so it was literally just the start. It was the tip of the iceberg. And that was a super fun experience to learn that.
So you're a young guy. You're learning to make phone calls. You're learning the business side of things. Did you face rejection?
Oh yeah.
How do you deal with rejection?
God, I hate rejection. I mean,
you don't love rejection?
Love rejection. I'm like, I remember the first phone calls I had to make, and I pick up my phone. I would literally talk myself into everything but trying to dial that damn number. And I'm like, shoot, man. I'm like, I don't want to talk to this guy.
You're like, I'm going to go fix this file over here. I'm going to go clean this bathroom over here.
I'm going to go do the dishes. I'm going to go do this. I'm going to go get a coffee. And like, I was afraid of people telling me no. But the thing is that I learned how to break down walls and not become like salesy. At the end of the day, all I needed to have that job to make money, but also I had to find a different approach, because if somebody finds that you're just very cutthroat and very just like salesy, it's over, and it's just like, I had to figure out a finesse way of creating a relationship in a very quick amount of time. Like, hey, yo, this is David with Power to Play Sports, and I'm calling about basketball. How's your day? And so basically all they hear is basketball, and then you're in. And so I had to find a quick in and out. Like, just it was difficult.
So you weren't like a natural salesperson?
No.
Like you had to develop this skill. Did you have some charisma?
I do have some swag. I do have a little bit of swag. So I've always had that going for me. But the cool thing is that in school, I did learn a lot of like communication skills. I'm a strong communicator. I've always had that. I don't know why, but it's always been in my blood to be just a pretty good communicator. And so I just had to finesse that a little bit, and you had to refine it a little bit.
Wow. So you're still young. You're getting your teeth cut in, kicked in a little bit. Learning the sales part. What? Don't they like these teams? Don't they want to play basketball? So how hard is that sale?
Honestly, that's. I was in my head. I'm like, this is easy sale.
Right.
It's like, But then basketball. It's kind of like a Starbucks. There's a basketball tournament at every corner. You can play wherever you want. It's very geographical. Like it just. Trying to convince somebody to play with you is the deal breaker, It's like, well, we can play with, XYZ right here. Why do we want to drive 20 minutes to play with you? I'm like, 20 minutes? I'm like, come on, dude.
Right.
And so you're trying to bat that objection of getting someone to get in their car and come up.
Yeah, because you're way up north, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So are you trying to get Denver teams to come up north?
Correct.
You're probably trying to get Wyoming teams to come down south.
And it was working. And the guy that founded the company, he was very good at relationships, and he built those. And so it became an easier conversation to have with teams because of our sales and our marketing of the product that literally made the phone calls and the relationship aspect easier to get them up. And so, it was 24/7 just phone calls. And then, part of my other day was to deal with, before there was an assigner, like everything was in-house. Like we had to coordinate the referees. And once we had the games and the schedules, we had to recruit referees to get there. And so I had to put on a different hat, and I had to go coordinate referees to cover these games that we had. Otherwise, people aren't going to take my phone calls anymore because there's no referees, and they're going to be pissed. You kind of need
those guys, right? Yeah. Or you can't have the game.
Correct.
So how is that managing referees? It's. I would anticipate it's like herding cats.
For referees, divas. First off, we're all divas. So we all. First off, you have a high level of confidence. Otherwise, you wouldn't do it in the first place. But we all kind of have our own qualms that make us, operate or tick or get off the couch to do certain things. And so you kind of gotta, figure out, what you want somebody to do and what that value proposition for them is going to be. And so it was difficult, but
have you cracked that code yet?
I feel like it's an ongoing thing all the time, but I do think that it's easier now because I've been in this line of work for so long now that I kind of have a name brand, and people understand what I'm about, and because I do it myself, like just because it's off season doesn't mean that I'm not as well as I'm working 6th, 7th, 8th grade, 12th grade club basketball in the off season. Like we're all the same, it's like you got to see place. And so I feel like the level of relatability lends itself to credibility in that this endeavor.
So what is your brand?
That's a great question. It's a great question. So I consider myself a serial entrepreneur. So what that means is that I think I can do anything. I think if I have the passion for it, the passion is what fuels the desire to get it done. And then if you are able to figure out that, the dollars and cents will come with it. And so, serial entrepreneur, my brand is literally, I tell people this in the referee industry, your name is your name brand. And so my parent company is called the Duggan Group. And what it is it's just it's a company that manages other companies under our umbrella. So we have a delivery and logistics company called You've Got Mail. We contract with the United States Postal Service. We manage, 20, 30 routes throughout the country. And these are government contracts. These are no joke. We're dealing with millions of dollars of government funds, and we have timelines and deadlines, and it is a tough industry. And I have a Chief Operating Officer, Alex Greenlee, phenomenal job. He's a referee himself. So there's a trend here.
Okay.
There's a trend here.
A common denominator here.
I hire referees. I deal with referees because I like these knuckleheads, and I think that I relate with them, and we all relate with each other. So I find, hey, do you want to how about you work in this business right here? And so that's how I find managers for all the businesses that we have. And so, yeah.
Wow.
That's one of them.
Okay. So you've got the refereeing company, which is called?
Yep. Our referee company is called Referee Suite.
Referee Suite. Okay.
Yep. And it is a development program. It's aligned with the Colorado High School Athletic Association in conjunction with men's and women's college basketball. And it's like a pipeline program to get people identified, developed, and then, pull them up in their performance, because a lot of people have a lot of aspirations. And when I got started in refereeing, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. A cool story right here is that when I was in high school back in Iowa in the Cornfields, and my coach told me that I needed to figure out how to referee. Well, anyway, I kept going with it, and I liked it, and I was making money, and I was getting these gigs from all these school districts, yada, yada, yada. It was cool. Well, anyway, one day I'm like a senior, and
still in high school,
and I'm refereeing kids in high school. Well, apparently you can't do that. And I didn't know.
Apparently it's illegal?
Yeah, there was no checks and balances other than this dude can referee. Well, he's 16, 17, let's give him a shot. He can blow a whistle. He'll show up. So
yeah. Well, he's already at school.
Yeah. And I'm telling my teachers hey, I got to get out early. I got a 2:45 game. I got to be in Jessup, which is 30 minutes down. So yeah, it was I was wheeling and dealing, cutting class to make games. Well, anyway, I cut class one day, and I did it legitimately. I told the teacher that I had a game, and she bought it. I didn't need a note. She just excused me. Well, I went and did the game. Well, the next morning I showed up to school, and it's David, please report to the principal's office. And I'm sweating bullets.
Why, you know what it's about?
No, I'm running down all the things that no one may not know.
You're right.
And I'm okay, what? Who found what out? And I'm well, anyway, I get in the office, and it went a different direction. It was my principal saying that, hey, there's this guy on the phone that wants to speak to you. And I'm oh God, is it the cops? I'm what? I'm I haven't done anything that bad. I'm what are we dealing with? So anyway, this guy, his name was Chuck Britton. He was a high school basketball assigner. And I didn't even know what an assigner was. In Iowa, we were getting our own gigs. We had to go to the school districts and get our own games.
Wow.
Apparently, there was this lord of basketball called this assigner that had the games. And if you could, if you were good with them, they'll give you the games.
Oh, my God.
So anyway, he told me, he's listen, I've heard that you're refereeing high school kids and you're in high school. Is that true? I'm like, well, duh, I'm in the principal's office. I'm like, what? Yeah, I'm here. Well, anyway, yeah, he's like, you need to stop that. And I'm like, what? He's like, you can't because you're still in high school. You can't referee kids that you're in high school. So anyway, I made the decision I was going to graduate high school early. So I graduated in December. So that way I could pick up the last half of the basketball season.
Wow.
So anyway, he
ambitious.
He said literally, and I was toying around with it because I wasn't ready to commit to going to college right then. I wasn't unsure what I wanted to do. And so once I heard that I couldn't referee basketball anymore, the guy kind of irritated me. And I'm like, all right, well, I'm out of here too. Well, anyway, I graduated. I worked the rest of the basketball season. I went to my first camp that this guy had. And it was this whole, you do this and that. And you go to boot camp for referees is what it is. And so it was cool.
And this assigner guy, is it running it?
Yeah, he was running it.
So is he trying to help you, or was he just trying to put the kibosh on it?
No, he was trying to help me.
Okay.
He was trying to help me to the degree of pretty much trying to make sure that I was young and dumb, first off, and he was trying to put the clamps on me to be like, listen, like a lot of people are young and dumb, and like let's make sure you have a straight and narrow, because if you're gonna work in this line, you got to have everything lined up where you're not a troublemaker. There's a whole professional side of it. And I wasn't quite aware of what it was. I thought it was just like, all right, cool. I'm going to throw on my little referee jersey and I'm going to go run around for 40 minutes. But there was more to it. The off the court stuff, he was trying to help direct me into a good path. But then I learned there's a whole mechanics thing to this whole thing. Like there's a professionalism that you have to do on the floor. So he actually helped me a ton. And he pulled me aside, and I'll never forget this comment. He said, listen, everyone's probably wondering why I pulled you away here. And they're all wondering why I'm talking to you and not them. So he said, here's what you need to do for me. You need to shut your mouth at all times and do what I tell you to do, and good things will happen. And then that's when I learned, listen, I can do this. I can literally if you tell me something, I'll be, yes, sir, yes, I'll just... So wow. I learned the art of, I guess you could say, I respond better to like direct communication like that.
Don't sugarcoat it for me. Just tell me how it is.
Straight up.
Yeah.
And so he just told me that, and I was like, cool.
Is he still a mentor for you?
Yeah. So
he's still in contact?
Yeah, I wrote him probably about a year ago, just to let him know where I'm at in my officiating journey, and he's he works for the Iowa High School Athletic Association now. So he went up a whole level from being like a conference coordinator to assigning referees to being at the state level and working in the state office. And so, Chuck Britton, baby.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So you got connections kind of everywhere.
Dude.
What do you think, like if you were to build a Frankenstein basketball official,
mm-hmm.
What would that look like?
Well, I think that good qualities would be, I think you have to have, everyone, they always say like, hey, were you in the military? Did you have any military background? I'm like, no. I think that there's like an appearance factor. And so you kind of got to be a little clean cut. There's a way you look and walk and talk to people, but being a good communicator is, number one. I would chalk that up to, learning the art of communication.
Yeah. This is going to be my 6th year of high school basketball officiating. We have spent this much time on communicating.
Yep.
When you're saying that's probably 90% of our job, right? We're either communicating in signals, mm-hmm. mechanics, mm-hmm. on the floor appearance, talking to the players, talking mm-hmm. to the coaches, talking to the table, communicating to fans, how professional we are, to the schools. I mean, we're communicating.
100%.
100%. We don't teach that.
Nope.
That's not taught to us.
Nope.
How do you close that gap?
Honestly, I work for a guy right now, Eddie Jackson, the coordinator of the men's basketball officiating consortium, oversees the Missouri Valley, the Big 12, the Big West, all those. And I learned a lot from his style too, is that communication is exactly what you said. We do that from the moment we step in that arena, and it comes to how we look, how we walk, how we talk, what we say, what we don't say, the mechanics that we use, and most importantly, how do you communicate amongst, the fans, the players, the coaches, the media, all those things. And his whole philosophy is and I take this, and when I, assign referees myself now, I use this in pretty much all my statement. The thing is that in life, just a funny story, you're always taking little pieces of somebody else's tool book and putting them into your own. Sure. And I learned this from him, and his thing is, you need to diffuse situations, not create them. And so you need to learn the art of communication. And so if a coach has an issue, you need to talk to the coach. Is there a fine line of when you stop? Absolutely. Is there anything wrong with issuing technical files or stop talking? Like, no. But you have to be able to let those walls down to be like, hey man, like coach has a problem with your call. You can't be so defensive that that you think you got it right. You got to just say, hey man, well, what do you think? Or maybe it wasn't my best call, or, I hear you, or something along the lines that says like, I'm not better than you. I'm right here with you. I'm working for you. Like, I'm not going to get
human.
Yeah. Well,
bring a human element.
I'm going to get them wrong too, so just diffuse situations and don't create them. And that's the philosophy that I try to, when I teach and train referees in our consortium group, is I think that's a huge philosophy, because it's not being taught. It's not being taught. And it kind of goes unspoken, because we all kind of use this, qualm of, hey, let's communicate as partners, Okay, great, we can communicate, but
what does that mean?
What does it mean?
I have no idea what that means.
So, yeah, there's a whole art to that. And
do you get some outside training? I mean, so, people that train on communication, good communication, I mean, I think that would be helpful.
Yep.
And I think that skill applies to everything. Mm-hmm. I mean, applies to business, entrepreneurship, your job, managing people, leadership, your marriage.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, there's so many benefits to learning how to be a good communicator, and we're not focusing on it.
No, we take it for granted. We take it for granted because we think we can speak.
Right.
And we think just because we can speak, that's communicating.
Right.
It's not.
No.
Because you're going to say the wrong thing. You're going to put your foot in your mouth, and you're going to be screwed.
Yep.
So you gotta fit the stage you're on. It's not about winning every fight. You don't need to win every argument with a coach. Like, there's many times I'll tell anybody, whether it's in business or on the floor, something that they need to hear to move on. Like, I may not agree with them, but they don't need to know that I don't agree with them. They just need to hear a little element to say that we're going to meet 50-50 and we need to move on,
that might be a good, I'm not telling you how to run your business, but it might be a good way to differentiate yourself, and that you have some type of curriculum or certification that you've been through this communications class, and that whoever you're putting on the floor is one of the better communicators that it kind of separates from the general public.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I think that's probably, you could always learn the mechanics.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You can't necessarily learn the skill of communicating well, like, very easily.
No, that's a hard one. And to be honest with you, I think I was fortunate enough to learn communication just through just having to deal with a lot of, just adverse situations growing up, my dad passed away when I was younger. I was living with my mom, who's a single mom. Like, all these things that I had to learn kind of how to represent myself. How do I want myself to be portrayed? And so that has kind of helped me kind of emulate whether I'm have my business hat on, or I have my referee hat on, or whatever that case is, but just kind of be able to learn the art of relating to people, not needing to win every fight. Is everyone going to like you? No, but who cares? At the end of the day, who cares?
What do you think people think about you?
It depends which role I'm in, like I'm a very relatable guy, and I can get along with anybody and be friends with anybody. I got a lot of high level friends and I got a lot of low level friends in the spectrum. And I believe that everyone has a path and we all need each other somewhere along the way. And so, with that said, I'm a good person on a personal level, but when it comes to business and kind of doing things, I like things done a certain way. And I'm a little bit of a stickler when it comes to, I don't want to cut corners. I don't want to take shortcuts. I don't want to, I'm a big communicator. And so when somebody's working in some of my businesses, I expect them to communicate as if I was the one doing it. And so I think I get caught in the spectrum where I may not, I may micromanage a little bit, but I also give a lot of a leeway and allow people to come into their own, shell. And so I think I have a good balance of keeping the pulse on things, but also kind of just making sure that some of the standards and the expectations don't slip through the cracks, because it's a reflection of me at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm. So who holds you accountable?
My wife.
Should we ask her how your communication skills are?
They're horrible. They're horrible. They're horrible. They're bad. Terrible.
So if we could master the communication in our marriage, I think it goes a long way with.
Yeah.
Why do you say that?
Well, I got an honest answer. I honestly think that when I am in business or when the light's on in the court or whatever, I'm cool with my decision making and acting split second, making decisions, going with my gut. But when I'm at home, I like to think that I'm taking a respectful approach of, I have a hard time when I'm riding number 2, shotgun. And so I struggle with communicating on the home front because I kind of defer and I kind of oh, honey, what do you want to do? I kind of don't make decisions at home. I kind of allow my wife and my family to make decisions. And so I struggle.
So it's more of a democracy rather than a dictatorship?
Yeah, I struggle with situations at home like that. And so long story short, I literally... my wife and my family, they put up with me, and my wife runs the house.
Where's the conflict in that? If you're just allowing them to do what they want, where's the conflict?
You would think there'd be none. There'd be none.
Yeah, right. So where is it? Is it the conflict on your side or on their side?
No, I'm a workaholic first off, and so my work bleeds in 24/7 to wherever I'm at, whatever I'm doing. Yes, I have managers in these companies that I run, but those problems still bleed into whatever I'm doing at that moment. And I'm an emotional, if I get a problem, and it gets to me, I am fixated on fixing it, until it gets resolved, and I let it become me. And so when it deals with the home front, it kind of has those clashes with kind of that work-life balance that you were talking about, kind of leading up to this. And so that's one thing that I definitely struggle with, is a little bit of work-life balance, and that needs to be better on my end.
Mm-hmm. Well, my wife always tells me this, that we sort of live through seasons. And
Mm-hmm.
This is probably perfect for you because although your seasons seem to never end. And that's kind of crazy. Do you think that's sustainable?
I like it. I operate better.
You do redlining all the time?
I feel like I operate better even if I'm on a vacation in the most beautiful spot in the world. I'll be finding something on my phone or something to work on or tinker with or whatever the case is, or I'll just start something new because I just have a hard time of sitting idle. And so, yeah.
Wow.
I don't know why.
Okay.
I don't know. So I operate better a little bit all the time.
Okay. All right. So what are some things that that you're working on? I mean, so you got the referee company, you've got the logistics company. What else you got?
We have a credit card processing company called Swiper Merchant Automations, where we deal business to business, and we go to merchants around the country and we lower their processing fees, because every time you swipe that piece of plastic, there's a middleman taking a fee along the way. And so what we do is we stick our hands in there and we analyze their statements, and we actually help put more money back into their bottom line by reducing junk fees and stuff like that.
Wow.
So
okay. What made you get into that?
Honestly, it was a fluke, and I liked it, and I could relate with people. I mean, honestly, it's a sales type of job. Like, you have to walk in, you're like, hey, my name's David.
Right.
You do the whole thing, and then you got to find a level of it's back to the phone call story of a little bit ago. How are you going to relate to somebody when all they care about, they see you walk through your door in your little button shirt, and they're like, get out of here. And they already
you see
know.
the no
you
soliciting?
See the sign?
Yep.
Get out. And then it's like, how do I overcome that sign and that gatekeeper right there to get to where I want? So it's a little bit of fear of rejection still that you have to go through, but you have to be able to be confident to walk through the door. And then once you're in the door, you can kind of get your story across. And then after you're like through the gatekeeper, I do a good job of like building a relationship quickly, getting in, getting out, and just, at the end of the day, it's, can you save me money or not? That's the deal.
It just comes down
to cut and dry. Once you get to that stage of it, that sale is cut and dry. How much can you save me? Is it worth the brain damage of making the switch? All this stuff. And it's like, yeah, I'll do it.
So it's a dollars and cents
kind of. It's a dollars and cents thing.
Okay.
But it's still the same. It's communication and sales. And so we have a general manager in that company as well. And their whole job is to make sure that all of our sales reps are, out there going through doors, and we're analyzing statements and making sure we're putting in applications to lower fees.
So you have this group. It's all under this group. There's some commonalities in there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, do you see this group growing, or do you want to try to focus on one thing and really try to master that, or how is this thing working long term?
So I think we have autopilot marketing too, is what we have.
Another company.
We have a marketing company.
Okay.
And what we do is that group, goes to different entities, and they represent them in their sales and marketing. They build out email campaigns and sales sequences. We have, people who, make phone calls on their behalf and sell their products and the whole thing. And so that whole company is a great company in itself, just because it's sales and marketing based, and that runs itself. There's a manager in that company. And then the last company is the last.
Are you sure?
One. This is the last one.
Okay.
You said, is there room for more? The answer is yes. There's always room for more. The beautiful thing about it is that I can come up with an idea, get it in motion, refine it, get it to a degree of revenue generating, and then sustainability, where we can come in and plug somebody in there, and they can have that as their primary source of income. And the company is managed with a day-to-day operator. It doesn't have to be me, but it operates. But anyway, this last company is Ultimate Recruiting, and it is a sports statistics and film company. And what that company does is we contract with different event tournament operators around the country. Like in the spring and summer, grassroots basketball is huge. Like Nike, Adidas, all those Under Armour, they have those circuits. So we go and we contract with them, and we aggregate all of the player statistics for their athletes. And what we do is we have a statistician that sits courtside, and they use a software, and we aggregate the data, and then we take the film and we match it, but then we sell it to recruiters, like people, looking their clips and their stats. And basically we're helping athletes develop their resume, so that way they can represent themselves and sell themselves into a scholarship or an opportunity.
Gotcha.
So
wow. That's pretty
it.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. That is it. That's
You
it.
sure?
That's it for now. That's it.
So how?
And that's the Duggan Group. It's a group of companies that operate independently of each other, but they're managed by the Duggan Group, the management company of the Duggan Group.
So are you interested in finding a replacement?
Yeah, be great.
Are you looking? I mean, like, what would that person look like?
What would it look like? I think the ideal replacement for me would be somebody who likes a little bit of a challenge every day. You have a schedule, but it ain't always going to go as scheduled. And you have to be able to be versed in many things. And usually when it comes to you, you have to make a decision. You have to be confident in the decisions that you make.
Do you have permission to make the wrong decision?
I do. That person doesn't. I do. Okay. I get a mulligan on that. So no.
So this person can't make mistakes.
They can't make mistakes. They got to be perfect. And yeah. So
and that's why you're still operating.
Mistakes happen. Yeah. So honestly, it's very challenging. It's very it's cumbersome. We're doing this. I'll pick up my phone and I'll have 30 messages about, whether it's referee based or if it's a delivery issue or if it's somebody, their credit card processing things down, all these things. And I won't even know where to begin. And so then I pick my phone and I start farming it out to the right individual. So yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah. You need some help.
It's great though. It's great. It's great. Basketball's yeah, dude.
Yeah, I know. How are you
basketball season is even crazier. Crazier.
Well, yeah, because you're driving all over the country.
I am literally driving down the road. This is bad. I do not
This is
condone
not a
this.
model.
And if you talk to my referee buddies, they'll tell you how nuts I am. I'll literally be driving down the road.
You're driving.
I'm driving. I'll have my laptop in my lap, trying to find a number or reference something so I can make a sales call or when I'm driving that period of time, I'm not just sitting there thinking about, this is Cornfield.
Right.
I'm trying to make deals. You're
putting out fires.
I'm
using
that time to work through things. And so traveling to a game in Oklahoma or whatnot, refereeing's easy, folks. It's what you don't see from, I got to be in Oklahoma for a 7:00 game. And then, after that game, that'll be over at about 10 at night. But then the next day I got to be in somewhere in Missouri to do maybe a different game. And then you'd have to drive overnight and get that. And it's not even worth getting a hotel because you literally don't have enough time to sleep that long. So what you do is I take a nap in the car.
You're sleeping in your car.
Not all the time, but on overnight turn and burn trips like that, there's a level of I don't have an option. I got to get to that town. Because if I take a little nap at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, I'll wake up at 6 or whatever. And then I'll finish my drive and I'll get into that new city a little earlier. But then I'll be able to check into my hotel early too. And so I'll have a new hotel to be able to get into, or I'll go to a gym and I'll start my day or whatever the case is. But yeah, the refereeing piece is easy. It's what no one sees when you don't hear from me, that what I'm actually doing, and I got a family and I got, other, problems in my life, just like everyone else. And it's challenging.
So what's the end goal here?
The end goal is, honestly, I want to work in the NCAA tournament.
Okay, so that's where you're working towards.
That's the Everest goal you were
all
saying.
This, okay, yeah.
My whole thing is I'm structuring my business and my career around, this crazy love that I have for basketball refereeing. And I don't know why I still continue to chase it because I'm working great college basketball now. I'm involved with a great network of people. I have great references that will vouch for me at any given time that I use all the time to open new doors for business and relationships. And so all this thing is great, but I still want to work. I just want to work basketball. Like
So you want D1?
Yeah, I want to work. I'm literally working basketball all the time. Like all the time. It's crazy. I just like doing it.
So how long are you going to give yourself?
I got to everyone's got a shelf life. And so my shelf life, honestly, it will be, I'd say maybe 3 more years of chasing it at that hard of level. Like that. Okay. Like this offseason, I got 10 camps I got to go to. That's thousands of dollars.
That's nuts.
Thousands of dollars, let alone thousands of miles and dollars that I've already spent on the regular season just getting through the season. Now I got to go back in camp mode, and I got to go try to resell myself, because in this business is that you're not guaranteed anything. A new boss could come in and whack the staff at any given time. Whack, you're gone. And so you always got to be out there continuing your training, your education. Think of it like if you're a doctor. Think of it like refereeing is like being a doctor. You're going to be like, what the hell? That's not even close. It is, because think about it. You go to med school, you do the training, you do your residency, you go through all this stuff, and then you become a doctor. Great job, But then, guess what? You can't maintain being a doctor because you have to continue ongoing education. You have new levels of certification. Things change all the time. Same thing with refereeing. Yeah, I could work on this guy's staff at the college level for a period of years, but guess what? He may come in and whack, and there's a whole rebuilding cycle. So you can't just be a referee. You have to be a student of the game as well, and because rules changes, mechanics change, appearance changes. All these things change, and so it's an inevitable battle that you're always. I always make this joke when I'm a crew chief. I'm like, listen, we're all one game away from getting another game, or we're one game away from never getting another game. So think of it like that when you go
being
on
your last game.
Yeah, you could get hurt. You could screw something up so bad that honestly it would set you back so far in your progression.
You can't come back.
You wouldn't recover from it. Everyone would know you by that's the guy who screwed that up, and they won't touch you with a 10-foot pole.
Wow.
And
that still excites you.
Yeah. Gets me going. It keeps me driving, baby.
But you got 3 years.
Got 3 years. 3 years.
Okay.
3 years. Maybe 5. I don't know. We'll see.
How old are you now?
The truth is I'm actually 35. I'll tell somebody I'm 32, just to give me that little edge, if I got this young whippersnapper over here who's chasing me down, I'm like,
your mid-30s is your prime.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're fine.
So we're good.
You're fine.
We're good.
Well, we'll wrap it up with this, but what do you want your legacy to be?
That's a hard one. Honestly, a legacy is important. I would just say that I'm a big teacher. I believe in paying it forward, I guess you could say.
What does that mean?
Basically, like any opportunity that I've given has always there's always been a mentor or somebody behind it who has helped somebody get to where you need to be. And in basketball, you're never going to get anywhere without anybody. And so you have to have somebody who will help you pull you up, because there's going to be failures along the way. And so I guess a legacy would be, it's pretty important to me to just keep in a perspective of when somebody thinks of me, I want them to think of somebody who has helped them, who was honest with them, who could, they could call and they could count on me. And if I say I'm going to get it done, I got it done for them. So my word is huge. If I tell somebody I'm going to do something, I'll go through the end of the earth to get it done, because I don't want there to be a broken promise or a miscommunication. I don't like when somebody says, well, I didn't know that. The 40 emails that I sent you and the 15 text messages, let alone the conversation. How did you not know that? So I'm an over communicator, and I feel like if somebody could say, you know, his word, when he said it, he got it done, and it meant something. At the end of the day, that's what's important to me.
So integrity.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yep.
Well, there's so much to unpack here that we almost need a part 2.
Schedule it. Get it on the books. I'm literally leaving here to go to another crazy basketball meeting. So, yeah, there's always somebody who has an idea that I'm an opportunist. I want to hear somebody's idea. I want to hear somebody's story. I want to hear what they think they can value proposition me with to make me better, and also as return gives them passion to operate in a lane that they want, you know? And so those things are huge, and that's what keeps me going. Is it exhausting? Yeah. Is it fun? Yeah. But
Are you having a good time?
I'm honestly, dude, it's like every day's like vacation. It's like spring break for Duggan here, you know? It's everyone's like, what do you do? I'm like, dude, I can't even tell you. So
you just got to ride with me and I'm going to drive.
Yeah. And I'm going to have my computer, and you're going to be nervous.
And you're going to see.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Put that seatbelt on and then get on the ride.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I appreciate you having me, and this is great.
Good,
this is great.
All right. Well, we'll have to have you back.
Let's do it.